Here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
How we feeling on a Monday, Mr. Singleton?
What's up, man? I'm back from vacation, doing good.
You had a long weekend.
I did.
You got to eat a crap ton of KC barbecue.
Yeah.
And you got to return to the news that Oklahoma may very well, and I don't want to get out in front of, ahead of the skis here, Oklahoma may very well be getting commitments from their top two uncommitted targets remaining in the 2026 cycle within 24 hours of one another.
Not a bad way to start the week, I'll tell you that.
Might be the best Monday of the year. All in all.
I mean, given what happened last year, it probably would be.
What happened last year?
In terms of the season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no Mondays were very fun last fall.
No, not really.
This is a fun Monday, though. We just got news within the last hour, I should say, that Davian Gross, four-star wide receiver target for the Sooners out of Lone Star High School in Frisco, Texas, is going to be committing later today. The finalists, Oklahoma, Florida, Baylor, Houston. Grayson, I like where the Sooners sit in this one. And I like where they sit for Jake Kreul tomorrow. Barring, I always have to add this caveat because we know how things go in the NIL era. Barring something completely unforeseen at the 11th hour, I believe Oklahoma is on track to get commitments from both Davian Gross and Jake Kreul. And all the people said, amen, hallelujah. Because we've been waiting on this for what feels like forever. In reality, in all actuality, it's only been 5 weeks since Tyler Ruxer committed, and it officially became the Jake Kreul and Davian Gross show here on Locked In. But now, we will know by the time we go on air tomorrow, by the time this show begins tomorrow, we will know definitively where Davian Gross and Jake Kreul will both be playing college football, and there's a very strong chance that they both are committed to the University of Oklahoma.
Did Davian Gross announce a time that he's going to announce this?
He did not announce a time.
Okay. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything because
he simply said committing today.
He did say that. So it could happen during the rush with Teddy Lehman and yours truly today. So we could touch on it before we get off the air at 6 o'clock p.m. today. Here's the thing that I think about here. You say it's only been 5 weeks since Tyler Ruxer committed, but when you go down the annals of Oklahoma recruiting over the years, does Oklahoma generally at this point in time in the calendar ever go 5 weeks without a commitment?
Generally, no. The droughts have been more frequent over the last couple of years. That's just kind of by happenstance, too. I mean, Oklahoma's still been recruiting at a very high level. It's not for lack of quality. There's been less quantity, certainly, because let's say Kreul and Gross both do commit to Oklahoma. That puts OU's class size at 17 pledges in advance of the decision from T-Ron Richardson on August 26th. And to be frank, Grayson, I feel the exact same way about T-Ron Richardson as I do about Davian Gross and Jake Kreul, in the sense that as of late June, I was under the impression that OU led for those three. They occupied the catbird seat in those three recruitments. To this point, I have not heard anything to change my mind in that regard. So, it is my expectation as of now, and obviously expectations are subject to change with whatever additional intel might fly in between now and their respective decisions. But as of right now, it is my expectation that Oklahoma goes 3 for 3 with Davian Gross, Jake Kreul, and T-Ron Richardson. And that would be a heck of a month of August for this program as they start to put the finishing touches on their 2026 cycle. At that point, you'd had 18 commits. That's exactly how many signees you had in the 2025 cycle. So I think part of that is natural because Jim Nagy has mentioned so many times now that he and his front office showed up and the 2026 class was already downstream. That's the word that he's used. And so it feels like the lack of quantity in this class, to a certain extent, is by design. I would fully expect that in 2027 and beyond, Oklahoma once again gets back in the regular rhythm of signing 20-plus from the high school ranks. But, I mean, if we look at it the rest of the way, there may not be more than 18 signees in Oklahoma's 2026 class. If you ask me if they get to 20, there is a very viable path, and we will start to unpack it throughout the show. There is a viable path, even right now as we sit here with no additional offers whatsoever needing to be extended. There is a viable path for Oklahoma to sign 20 in this class. But probably no more than that right now.
Which tracks with what you've said all along, is that this 2026 class is going to be smaller. And if you get to 18, to me, if you get to 18, that's right around where I thought you would land given that sentiment. If you get to 20, I think you've done a hell of a job on the class. And look, I've been the one that has been pushing the narrative that this class has been underrated. And I don't think I'm going to have to push that narrative anymore if Jake Kreul and Davian Gross are on board. Because at that point, if you think a class that includes Jake Kreul and Davian Gross at the back end of it, along with the good football players that they were able to sign, along with how they signed DeZeph Walker, or I guess got committed rather, shall I say, then I have no idea what you expect from a program at that point if you still are gnashing teeth over that sort of a haul.
To those asking where Oklahoma's class would rank if they were able to land Gross and Kreul in the next 24 hours, the short answer is I do not know. To the best of my knowledge, Rivals does not have a calculator that can provide the correct output if you input the potential additions of Jake Kreul and Davian Gross. But what I do know is that as of right now, the Sooners sit at number 27 in the Rivals national recruiting rankings. I'm going to hazard a guess, an educated guess based on the numbers that I'm seeing, that Oklahoma will, at the very least, with the potential additions of Kreul and Gross, jump up to number 16 and potentially higher. Offhand, just knowing what I know about the calculus and looking at where some of these teams on the upper end of the scale rank right now in the 26 cycle, I would think Oklahoma is no worse than 16th at this time tomorrow if they have added Davian Gross and Jake Kreul to the class. Kyle from Sallisaw points out you can do the 24/7 class calculator, and I'm probably not supposed to do this because I work for 24/7's only direct competitor at this point in the market. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's use the class calculator function on 24/7 Sports. We're going to go to the 2026 Oklahoma class calculator. And you know what? Nah, I thought for a second about adding T-Ron Richardson, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's just say they get Davian Gross and Jake Kreul. At that point, Oklahoma's projected team score with 17 commits is 232.72. If we go to the team rankings right now, again, according to 24/7 Sports, 232.72 would be good for number 20, no, not number 20, number 19 in the country. So that gets Oklahoma back in the top 20.
I was going to guess 18.
I think they're going to be ranked quite a bit higher on On3 if I had to guess, just based on how they break it down versus the way that 24/7 breaks it down. 24/7, and look, I'm not a math person. That's why I do what I do professionally, because I don't have to do a whole lot of math. But the way 24/7's ranking calculus operates, it tends to favor quantity a little bit more, in my experience. And so with only 17 commits, Davian Gross and Jake Kreul being two national top 100 players, I would think they climb a little bit higher in the On3 rankings than they do in the 24/7 rankings. Denver from Indiana says, man, you are my favorite insider. First off, thank you. But I have zero faith we get either until we do. Call me Doomsayer, Debbie Downer, but we have been snake bitten. I hope so. We need it. Look, I get that, Denver. I get that. At a certain point, I've seen enough of these high-profile recruitments play out over the years that you don't want to get expectations too high until you know for sure. feel like we all learned a collective lesson with the DJ Hicks fiasco, right? In this era of college football, nothing is done until it's done. There's a case to be made that the Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy recruitment is evidence of that very same phenomenon, even though he was committed to Oklahoma. All of a sudden, one quiet December evening, he flips to Texas A&M because Calvin Thibodeau wasn't retained on Oklahoma's staff when Brent Venables got to town. So, yes, things can change. And I will not try to talk you down if you're the type of person that wants to see it before you believe it. But I am obligated to tell you, and so I will, that Oklahoma looks like the odds-on favorite to land commitments from Jake Kreul and Davian Gross.
It's interesting you bring up the Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy saga because the last point that you mentioned there, I think is the operative one now, is that one guy, Calvin Thibodeau, was not retained, so Brownlow-Dindy goes somewhere else. You probably know where I'm going with this. No matter who you get to commit,
ding, ding, ding,
Oklahoma's now under the pressure where they've got to win games. Because if they don't win games and there are changes somewhere, be it at the head coaching spot or not, and likely that's where it would start if they don't win games, dudes have loyalties to coaches. And if the coaches are not there, you had better hope that they are in love with the institution. Because if not, you could this whole 2026 conversation, even once we end up pivoting fully to the 2027 cycle come the season, the 2026 conversation can rear itself back up if you're not winning games. And some of these commits start to look elsewhere because they have no idea if the dudes that recruited them are still going to be here.
Based on what I know and have been told about the Davian Gross recruitment in particular, here's what I believe with my whole heart. A, he will be committing to Oklahoma today. B, if Oklahoma does not win enough football games to stabilize everything this fall for that staff, Davian Gross will be a Florida Gator on signing day. So, step one at this point is getting the guys. Didn't know if that was necessarily going to happen with either Kreul or Gross before the season actually started, but now that they are announcing here in the month of August, step one is getting them on board. Step two is keeping them on board.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you do that, you win football games. Slim Brady says, oh, now they're under pressure to win games. LOL. The pressure's been there. It's been there all along, and it continues to mount as we get closer and closer to the season. But if indeed you have such talented players as Jake Kreul and Davian Gross, I mean, you look at some of the current commits, right? Bo Bentley falls into that same category. You got dudes like that you feel like you can build a program around for years to come. The prospect of not being able to sustain continuity by winning football games in 2025, oh, that's not a reality you want to come face-to-face with.
No, it's not. And I'm glad you brought that up because what do Bo Bentley, Davian Gross, and Jake Kreul all have in common? They play the anchor positions of when you're building a football team. So when you're building a football team, you need a quarterback, somebody to protect the quarterback, somebody for the quarterback to throw to, and somebody to go get the other team's quarterback. Bo Bentley's the quarterback. Davian Gross can be a high-level wide receiver. Jake Kreul will end up being a monster. I feel very confident saying that. And then last year's cycle, you got Michael Fasusi. So 4 of the anchor positions of building a college football team would have been locked down if Gross and Kreul go in the direction of Oklahoma. You've got those for 2027, 2028. You don't want to mess with that if you can't win ball games this year. Or you don't want to mess with it by not winning ball games this year. That's why this year is just so pivotal for a program heading into the back end of the decade and even beyond. Because if you've got to start over and you lose 1 or 2, maybe 3 of those guys, those aren't the positions you want to lose high-profile dudes at.
Papa Boganowski on the text line asks, Parker, explain to me why the industry standard is total score instead of average per recruit. Good question. Good question, because that is a metric that Oklahoma fans in particular have paid a lot of attention to over the last couple of cycles because they have been smaller classes for Oklahoma. So they're more looking at average per recruit. Where do these guys rank in a mean sense? And the simplest answer I can give you, Mike, is that you have to consider what the objective of recruiting is. The objective of recruiting is to build a championship football program. That is every program's goal when they're recruiting prospective student athletes. They're trying to build for a championship. The way you do that is by recruiting quality players in great quantities. And so, the reason why the industry standard is total score as opposed to average per recruit is because, well, if you have, let's say your average per recruit is numerically 92 or 93. That's great. Most years, that's going to put you in the national top 3. But if you only have 8 signees, well, then you can't really build a championship program around those 8 guys, right? Because you need more. You need numbers. You need depth. You need critical mass. And so the total score for both 24/7 and On3/Rivals is a metric that does its best to find a happy medium between quality and quantity such that you're accurately representing the absolute value of a class to the institution that signs said class. So, average per recruit, these days, I think that metric probably means more than it ever has before because we all understand that the transfer portal is an available resource, particularly to institutions like Oklahoma that have that strong tradition. They have the strong brand. They can go and get who they want to get and who they need to get via the transfer portal to fill any holes that may exist on the roster. But that is the reason why the total score is the industry standard across the various recruiting services.
A texter in the 918 says, so sick of all this drama. Back in 45.
Are we being dramatic? I think we're just talking recruiting.
I think so, too.
You don't like recruiting talk, I get it. You got to really like recruiting.
You really do.
Like, it's a 24/7, 365 type of ordeal to cover, to follow, to engage in recruiting. Fortunately, we have a lot of folks that love it. But hey, I'm glad to hear you'll at the very least be back in 45 for the rush. Grayson's going to be on the rush today.
I was about to say, if he doesn't want to hear me talk, oops.
I don't think it's a you issue. I'm assuming it was a subject matter issue from the phrasing of that text. But we're glad you will be tuning back into the Ref circa 3 p.m. Until then, we are going to continue talking OU football and recruiting because that is what we do on this show. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Please continue to hit us up via the text line, and we'll return on the other side. You're listening to Locked In on the Ref.
This is Sooner linebacker Kobe McKenzie, and you're listening to the Ref, home of the Sooner fans.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Beats and Bites Festival is back again at Riverwind Casino, where good grooves and great food are on tap all summer long. Join us September 5th for Gary Allen, along with crave-worthy eats from local food trucks. There's something for everyone. Get your tickets online or at the box office for just $10. Only at Riverwind Casino.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
You know, football season is rapidly approaching, and the last thing you want is to have issues with your vehicle when you're traveling to the game. Bring your vehicle to AMCO and let them perform your free vehicle courtesy check. Their trusted technicians will check your vehicle's systems, and they will help you get back on the road. Financing is available at all locations. AMCO, Norman, Midwest City, Oklahoma City, Edmond, Yukon, and Tulsa.
Buffalo Wild Wings is now hiring for their brand new state-of-the-art remodeled store for the Moore location. Stop by the Moore location from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily and apply now. Competitive pay, team member discounts, incentive contests, insurance options, and flexible scheduling. This is the perfect opportunity for you or someone you know needing a job. With training starting soon, now is the time to apply at Buffalo Wild Wings in Moore. Stop by today from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is OEC Fiber. Are you tired of slow internet? With our gig speed fiber, your whole household can stream, game, and work at the same time without buffering. OEC Fiber gives you reliable speeds up to a full gig and a friendly local support team in Oklahoma. Ready to plug in speed you can count on? Visit oecfiber.com or tap your screen now. That's OEC Fiber. Fast, local, and trustworthy.
This is Locked In on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. Talking OU Cruton. And boy, OU Cruton might get hot here in the next 24 hours or so as we await decisions from 4-star wide receiver Davian Gross and 4-star defensive end Jake Kreul. Not all is fine and dandy on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, though. 832 Mike says, when did we start settling for anything less than a top 10 class? 832 Mike, context matters. The reason I say that is, let's take a parallel example, for instance. Let's rewind to the 2025 recruiting cycle. The group that Oklahoma just signed, a group that obviously included Elijah Thomas, Cortland Guillory, Michael Fasusi, Ryan Foje, and the like. In terms of average rating per recruit, Oklahoma did have a top 10 class. I believe they had the 8th highest rating per recruit of any class in the country. However, if we're talking total score, like the number that a machine spits out, combining the quality and quantity factors to judge each FBS institution's recruiting class, Oklahoma ranked, depends on the service you prefer, but between 16th and 18th via those services. So, as far as the general public was concerned, Oklahoma did not sign a top 10 class in 2025. But it was because they only signed 18 players. Again, amongst those 18 players, there was a ton of quality. There just wasn't a great deal of quantity, which in today's day and age, Grayson, is fine because you can lean on the transfer portal, particularly at a place like Oklahoma, which is always going to have strong appeal to transfers from any region of the country, any competition level, D2 and FCS guys are going to want to upgrade with a school like Oklahoma, and P4 guys that want to go prove something at one of college football's premier institutions are going to see a lot of appeal in going to Oklahoma as well. But when we look at the 2026 class, and as I mentioned last segment, I consider Oklahoma the leader right now and the odds-on favorite to land Davian Gross today, Jake Kreul tomorrow, and T-Ron Richardson on the 26th. Should Oklahoma land those three, Grayson Singleton, the Sooners will have 18 verbal commits in the 2026 cycle. And so with that noted, let's discuss roster math. Do you know how many seniors Oklahoma is set to graduate from their football team after the 2025 season?
Not the exact number, no.
The exact number, my friend, is 18.
Oh, well, that works out, doesn't it?
It works out very nicely. And generally, that's a pretty solid rule of thumb. Replace what you know you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have guys that transfer out, offset their losses by bringing transfers in. Now, I think it is very much within the realm of possibility that Oklahoma signs 20 or even more in the 2026 recruiting cycle. The reason I say that is because Jake Kreul, Davian Gross, and T-Ron Richardson are not the only recruitments in which Oklahoma is currently involved. They are pushing for a pair of flips from recruits down in SEC territory, one of whom is Northwestern linebacker commit Jacob Curry, a 3-star product of St. Augustine, Florida. 6'1", 205 pounds, real athletic kid, and OU is not the only P4 program that's pushing for a flip there. More recently, they threw a hat in the ring officially for 3-star Lafayette, Louisiana wide receiver Braden Allen, who actually visited Oklahoma in the spring, was on campus for the Crimson Combine, and now will return for an additional unofficial visit this fall, and a subsequent OV is on the table and a possibility for Allen. Did a full interview with him over at OUinsider.com, which members over there have full access to. He's a great kid and has a ton of respect for the University of Oklahoma and what it has been historically and what it was when he was growing up. Because particularly for a wide receiver, you got to consider Braden Allen at 10, 11 years old, who was dominating the Saturday highlight reels. CeeDee Lamb and Hollywood Brown were, among others that were contemporaries of theirs at the University of Oklahoma, but OU was hot in those days. And for a young wideout, wearing the same jersey that CeeDee Lamb wore, same jersey that Hollywood Brown wore, there's quite a level of appeal there. And so is there a world where Oklahoma supplements their class with the potential additions of Kreul, Gross, and Richardson factored in by going and flipping Jacob Curry and or Braden Allen? Absolutely. And that would get you to 20. At that point, you're probably going to process a few guys every single offseason anyway, but at that point, you're definitely looking at having to process a few.
Well, you're going
just to make the roster math work.
You're going to process guys, and some guys will leave on their own volition too. But I want to go back to the 2025 class because this is interesting you brought that up. It was the 18th ranked class, according to On3 Rivals. Mm-hmm. 18th class, not top 10. So we have some texters who can be a little salty about that. But here's who's in the class. Michael Fasusi, Ryan Foje, Elijah Thomas. We're pretty excited about those three, aren't we? Trent Wilson, pretty excited about him, right? Torrey Blaylock has done some good things at camp. Manny Choice looks like he's going to be a good player. Omarion Robinson, Brent Venables can't stop talking about him. Cortland Guillory, Parker can't stop talking about him.
Star in the making, folks.
Malik Hawkins is maybe the most versatile player in the whole class. Here's the point. Even though it's the 18th ranked class by a recruiting service, which, by the way, is the weirdest mix of subjective and computer dorks, these are some damn good players. There's a ton of excitement here, which is why I don't necessarily understand why anybody will ever overreact just on the raw number. Because Those are good football players. Those are cornerstone football players. Ryan Foje is doing work at camp. Cortland Guillory is on the top of everybody's mind, and Michael Vasusi is going to be a stud at some point. But they came from the 18th ranked class. Who cares? They're going to help Oklahoma win football games at some point. And it sure may not look the sexiest way it's looked in years past. But if the coaching staff is able to win with the dudes that were before them, you're going to see the fruits of that 18th ranked class bear itself in the coming years.
A nice point from Brian and Bixby as well. We started, quote-unquote, settling for less than top 10 when all our 5 stars were absolute busts year after year. There have been a few good ones. There have been a few. Adrian Peterson, that guy was pretty good. Joe Mixon, he turned out all right. Peyton Bowen, he's your starting strong safety in the year of our Lord 2025. He turned out all right as well. But for the most part, and Jim Nagy himself has referenced this, it's part of the reason he doesn't want to pay attention to external rankings and evaluations of their players and wants to allow his staff to do all of that themselves, is because you look at all the 5 stars that Oklahoma has signed in the 21st century. Gerald McCoy, obviously another one that turned out to be a fantastic player. But there's a lot more misses than hits. There are hits, but there are a lot of misses. For every Gerald McCoy, you got a couple Bray Walkers, or a couple Jeremy Calhouns, or a couple Mo Dampiers. You don't even know those names, do you?
Not Mo Dampier.
You know Bray Walker.
Yeah, the only Dampier I know was the one that played center for the Mavericks when I was a kid.
Eric Dampier.
There you go.
Ah, the good old days. The good old days. Denver from Indiana says, studs. 25 class was crazy good. Time will tell, Denver, but early indications are that several of those guys, at the very least, you're looking at a handful for sure, are going to play major roles for Oklahoma in 2025. And it may be true for a guy like Torrey Blaylock, just to pick one example. Torrey Blaylock, I was fully convinced was going to redshirt at Oklahoma this fall. Not because I didn't think he was good, but because there's so much depth in that Oklahoma running back room. Jaden Ott, Xavier Robinson, Taylor Tatum, Javonte Barnes. Torrey Blaylock shows up and he's what, RB5? What are the odds? What are the odds he's going to be able to carve out a role in that backfield? He's on his way to doing it. He's making noise. He's got to sustain it, but...
Right. Where do you think that whole thing settles out? Because right now it looks a little bit shaken because of Ott being, banged up, and there's other guys being banged up. Where do you think that whole running back room settles itself out, and where does Torrey fit into that, potentially?
It's hard to say because Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson haven't practiced all fall. Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson have both been on the shelf. Jaden Ott is RB1. That's never been a question. I would say right now, by default, you would have to consider Javonte Barnes RB2. I could be convinced that Torrey Blaylock breaks camp as RB3. I could be convinced. It depends on how quickly Tatum and Robinson are back on the field and how strong of an impression they can make over the course of whatever chunk of fall camp they are available for.
Larry from Cashin says, Javonte 3 yards per carry, Barnes.
Come on, Larry. He hasn't been healthy. That 2022 tape that Javonte Barnes put on, we haven't seen fully healthy Javonte Barnes since he was a true freshman. And when he was a true freshman, he was pretty dang salty. Sean says, weird how class rankings matter when it's top 10, but it's nerds when it's not. I'm sure Brent was high on Devon Mitchell, Zion Kearney, Ivan Cario, and Zion Reagans, and KJ Daniels at wide receiver, too. And that class was, I'm not sure what he was trying to say that about what that class was. But, Sean, can we not make premature judgments on half of the guys on that list? Like, I understand Devon Mitchell is no longer here. It's okay to make a judgment on Devon Mitchell because he's never going to wear the Crimson Cream again. But Zion Kearney, Ivan Cario, and Zion Reagans, and KJ Daniels, they've been in college for 1 year. Ivan Carrion led Oklahoma in receptions in the Armed Forces Bowl. Zion Kearney caught a 58-yard touchdown pass in the Armed Forces Bowl. Zion Reagans, I know he's tiny. There was enough trust in him. I know alternatives were not stellar, but there was enough trust in him that he was out there starting against Texas as a true freshman in the Red River Showdown. KJ Daniels, we haven't seen him yet. I don't know what he turns into. I don't know what any of those guys turn into, Sean, but that's kind of the point. I think it's patently unfair to be writing those guys off after 1 year on a college campus.
And I will say this, too. To that text, it's weird how they matter when it's top 10. You know who kind of killed that narrative? Texas A&M in 2022. Because how many of those dudes turned out good? I mean, we're now into year 2025. Only 2 of them are in the NFL. And most of them, it hasn't been great, to say the least.
East Texas Sooner says, hey, Sean, would a better class be Weiss, Hazelwood, and Bridges? It's interesting, man. And I know that 2019 class gets panned these days. I know it gets slammed for not living up to expectations. And to be fair, it didn't. But, okay, Trajan Bridges is always going to be one of the premier what-ifs of the 21st century at OU.
Right.
Because he was looking so dang good on the practice field in that spring in 2021 before he did the thing with the people. But Jaden Hazelwood, Theo Weiss, I mean, those guys, Theo Weiss led Oklahoma in receiving in 2020. I'm fairly certain Jaden Hazelwood led Oklahoma in receiving in 2021.
I was about to say, Theo Weiss and Jaden Hazelwood didn't work for OU.
Yeah, I mean, listen, did they become stars? No. But did they bring value to the table for the Sooners? Absolutely they did. So, that wasn't a total bust in 2019. I do my best to make sure we're not providing exceedingly slanted takes one way or the other, whether positive or negative. Somebody on the text line says, Teddy's going to come at y'all's throats for saying that the OU defense was the reason they lost the 2017 Rose Bowl. No, the major reason they lost the 2017 Rose Bowl was Lincoln Riley. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, poor game management.
He is the figure that is primarily culpable for that loss.
Five-star Randy says, are you already home? I don't think that text was meant for us.
I am not already home, 5-star Randy, but I will be not too long from now because we only have one segment to go here on Locked In. So let's hit a break. When we return, we'll hit more of your texts. We'll talk OU more, or I should say we'll talk more OU football and recruiting because that's what we do around here. So stay right here on the Ref. Keep hitting us up on the text line, and we'll be right back with more. Keep it here.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is the Ref, home of Sooner fans.
The City of Norman encourages you to shop small this summer. What better place to eat, shop, and play local than historic Main Street in downtown Norman? With over 65 years of experience, Mr. Robert Fine Furniture and Design stands for quality. Family owned in the heart of Norman, their exquisite showroom is filled with unique items from around the globe. The historic Sooner Theater is a summer staple and a must-see downtown. See great local theater, concerts, or attend performing arts classes. Find upcoming events and tickets at SoonerTheater.org. Visit Oklahoma's premier art gallery specializing in Native American, Oklahoman, and Western art. Find original art, pottery, jewelry, made in Oklahoma products, and so much more at Tribes Gallery on Main Street in the heart of Norman. Join the City of Norman and keep it local this summer when you eat, shop, and play in downtown Norman.
Mike Steele here for Lasher Home Comfort Systems, your trusted home comfort experts in the Oklahoma City metro area. Tim Lasher and his team have more than 130 years of combined experience. They recognize a significant number of homeowners live with inadequate home comfort systems. They specialize in diagnosing your home system issues while providing more efficiency and reducing your utility costs. As an authorized dealer of American Standard, Tim can service your residence or business. Call Tim and his team at 405-579-3113. Lasher Home Comfort Systems.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
I'm Gina Mitchell of Mitchell's Jewelry. We are where Oklahoma gets engaged. And as you would expect, diamonds, engagement rings, and wedding bands take center stage. You can also browse our cases for the latest on-trend styles, unique gemstone jewelry, and timeless classics. Our store is filled with beautiful jewelry, but some of our most special pieces are custom designed and one of a kind. Our goal is to give you an experience beyond compare. Shop with us at Mitchell's Jewelry in-store or online.
This is Mark Van Hoos, owner of Van Hoos Fence. Van Hoos Fence has years of experience and proven superior performance, kind of like a certain head ball coach.
We know Van Hoos Fence offers the best value and service for your residential, commercial, or sports fencing needs, whether it's a new install or repair work. Let Mark and his team at Van Hoos Fence be your trusted resource.
Call us today at 405-735-1167.
Save yourself from Googling it up. Go to vhfence.com. They will work with you in a great way.
Hi, Teddy Lehman here for Titan Title and Closing. And when I played for OU, I knew I could trust my teammates. And when you're making the biggest decision of your life, like selling or buying your home, you want a team you can trust. That's why you can call my teammate, Devry.
Thanks, Teddy. As one of the partners here in Norman at Titan Title and Closing, I know a thing or two about Norman. I've raised my children here, and I've been in the real estate industry for over 25 years. We work with over 25 entities that are involved in each transaction, and our team plays on both sides of the transaction to achieve a win for our realtors, lenders, builders, sellers, and buyers. When you sell your property, be sure to ask your agent to close with Titan Title and Closing here in Norman. You can contact us today at 405-689-8617. Again, that's 405-689-8617.
Oh, brother, this is hilarious. This is a hilarious walk down memory lane. The name Peyton Kirkland probably won't mean anything to you, will it?
No, not that I'm aware of right now. Oh, my
goodness. We have some OGs. We have some locked-in OGs that have been listening since 2022 that are going to get a kick out of this. Because I know y'all remember Peyton Kirkland. Peyton Kirkland, for those that aren't familiar, was a 4-star offensive lineman at the time in the 2023 recruiting cycle. Yes, 2023. So this was calendar year 2022 that this recruitment was unfolding. Grayson, no recruitment that I've ever covered will ever be as annoying as Peyton Bowen's, but this one was close. The kid...
What is it with the name Peyton?
You got me. But Peyton Kirkland, he could teach the master class on how not to handle social media activity as a football recruit.
Oh, this should be good.
Yes, because essentially, and I mean, it was a darn near daily endeavor of his. He'd be posting and visit pictures, trying to rile up fan bases of all these schools that had offered him that he'd visited, and he'd be responding and or subtweeting every single report that anybody put out about his recruitment. I mean, it was such an overload. It was so much to handle that at a certain point, pretty much all the schools that were involved in his recruitment decided, we don't want to deal with this. And so they dropped out of contention. His final 4 were Florida, Michigan State, Oklahoma, and Miami. By the time commitment day actually rolled around, he did not have a committable offer anymore from any of those 4 institutions. And so he committed sight unseen, mind you, to the University of Texas, which is hilarious in its own right.
Huh.
Because Texas was the school that was willing to extend him a warm blanket without ever having seen him in person, I don't believe. He had never been to Texas, I know that much. He'd never been on campus. But Texas was the one school that would take him, so he committed to Texas. Spent a year there, didn't play. Hit the transfer portal. Wound up at Colorado because at the time, I mean, this is less true now, but at the time, if at any point you had been a blue chip recruit, Deion Sanders was like, come on, I got to overhaul this roster, so we'll take the chance.
Sure.
Goes to Colorado for a year. Once again, doesn't play. Hits the portal again. Commits to Miami of Ohio this past spring. And it was just announced today, I guess he had never signed any binding paperwork with Miami of Ohio because earlier today it was announced that he has now signed with UAB. He's going to spend the 2025 season with the UAB Blazers. So in the span of 2 going on 3 seasons at the collegiate level, my man has gone from Texas to Colorado to Miami of Ohio to UAB.
You know,
I love how you're trying to find the words.
Have you ever heard of guidance? I feel like Homeboy's life has been lacking a little bit of that. Because if his final 4 were Florida, Michigan, Oklahoma, and who was the 4th? Parker?
It was Florida, Michigan State,
Michigan
Miami,
State.
OU.
Okay.
Yeah.
You obviously can play some football. Okay, so you go on a social media snafu. Okay, fine. You know, you're 17 years old. We can look past that at some point. But you're still a good football player. How have you not worked out as a football player? Like, to me, this is like some kind of personality kind of thing that is served to his detriment. But, man, that's a story. But it definitely sounds like he needs somebody, and he's been lacking somebody to help guide him through some of this stuff that he certainly has some control over.
I just completely lost my train of thought because I was about to use that entire spiel of yours as a launching pad for a point of my own, and it escaped me. It vanished into thin air. That's my old man moment of the day, folks.
Okay.
Doesn't hit nearly as hard as Steely's
No,
old
it
man moments, but
doesn't, but they are starting to hit a little bit more frequently.
I might lose it early. Gonna have to be prepared for that possibility, folks. Peyton Kirkland. Oh, yeah, this is what I was going to bring up. Listen, I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying I participated in it, because I didn't. I'm just saying this is what happened. Part of the reason that those committable offers went away was because not only was his social media presence a major turnoff to a lot of the coaches that were recruiting him, but his weight was also ballooning. He got up as high as like 370 pounds.
Oh, gosh.
At one point.
Oh,
the
no.
streets began calling him Circle K.
Oh, that's a good one.
Again, not condoning it,
Not
but
condoning it, but
that's what was happening.
It's kind of creative.
An 817 listener says, "Old man moment, ain't you like 27?" Yeah, 20. I'm not even 27 actually. So the old man moments shouldn't be happening. You know, let me have one a day. I think if I can keep it to one a day, that's a reasonable quota. Reformed Homer says, "But you did make it almost 3 hours, Parker." That is true. That is true. Didn't have an old man moment until 7 minutes before the end of the show. 5-star Randy, who mistakenly sent us a text that was intended for someone else last segment, followed up and said, "It's worse when I send a KREF text to the wrong person." Oof.
Yeah, probably so.
We did have a listener that got in hot water with their boss because they sent a John Mateer-related tweet to their boss instead of to the KREF. Instead of the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line.
I lost the text, but somebody said, whose recruiting story is funnier, Peyton Kirkland or Tate Martell?
Yeah, Tate Martell, man, that takes the cake.
Yeah, definitely.
It's probably always going to take the cake. I don't know. Malachi Nelson might get up there at some point. How many different schools he's... Well, you know what? You know what? No. Here's what takes the cake. There's a wide receiver at the University of North Carolina right now by the name of Adrian Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to see if I can rattle this all off from memory. Adrian Wilson is from Pflugerville, Texas. Was a 4-star recruit in the 2025 cycle. Off the top of my head, I think I will be able to keep this all straight. He first silent committed to Texas Tech. Never publicly announced it. Then he silently committed to the University of Oklahoma. Never announced it. Then he publicly committed to TCU. This is all in the span of about 3 months, Grayson.
Okay.
A month later, he flips from TCU to Oregon. 2 months after that, he silently flips from Oregon to Texas A&M but never announces it. A week later, he reaffirms his commitment to Oregon. Eventually, he winds up decommitting from Oregon after about 6 months committed, I believe. Turns around and commits to Arizona State. Stays committed to Arizona State for longer than he stayed committed to any other school. Towards the end of the cycle, decommits from Arizona State and winds up committing to and signing with the University of Colorado. He is at the University of Colorado for all of 3 months before transferring to North Carolina, which is where he's at now.
First of all, hell of a job just rattling that off from memory.
Some stuff, it's just impossible to forget.
Number two, that sounds like some of the dating habits of my buddies in college. Number three.
We all got that one friend.
And number three, just, I don't know, man. And this is why, when it comes to recruiting, I give a little bit of grace to some of these kids because they're 16 and 17 years old. I mean, you're talking about easily influenced minds and, one thing will look good and then, oh, my goodness, this looks really fun. I mean, you're talking about Oregon and Arizona State and all those schools within it. Like, I can extend I know it just is a terrible look to be silent committing and telling a coaching staff one thing and then telling another coaching staff one thing. I know that's a bad look and not the way you want to go about it. But I am willing to extend grace to 16 and 17-year-olds.
As you should. There should be some grace extended to them because we all were stupid to varying degrees at that point in life.
Stupid
but we all were stupid.
easily influenced in your mind. It's just hard to make up your mind with a decision like that.
Cody from Tulsa says, it sounds like Grayson's dating
No,
life.
mine never looked like that.
Grayson's locked down, folks.
I'm locked down now.
Grayson's
yes.
in a committed relationship.
But it never looked like that. I'll tell you that.
Oh, my goodness. A listener in Kansas says, I can beat everyone. Pretty sure Baby Gronk has committed to everyone. That's the first time I've thought about Baby Gronk in months. And boy, it's been glorious.
It's the first time I thought about Baby Gronk since this morning because an account named Baby Gronk with 12,000 followers followed me on Twitter.
Was it the actual Baby Gronk account?
I don't know. I haven't really looked at it enough, but maybe.
The crazy thing is, like, if you listen to Baby Gronk and his dad in, like, an interview setting, for one thing, his dad is programming his kid with all of these responses and all this content. Like, it's the dad living vicariously through the kid.
Yes, it is the actual Baby Gronk,
Yeah,
by the way.
there you go. Football celebrity, Baby Gronk. But, like, the dad sincerely believes that this is all serious. And it's all to be taken seriously. He was doing an interview a while back, and he's like, yeah, man. And this is all, like, on camera, on a microphone. He's like, we were up at Oregon. He loved it so much, he almost committed to Oregon. But
that kid doesn't even look like a football player.
No, he really doesn't. And no one is taking a commitment. No one is offering a scholarship to any kid that's, 10 years old, 11 years old?
Is he still that young?
We're going to have to put up with the Baby Gronk BS for several more years, Grayson. Several more years. Oh, we're done on Locked In.
You are.
I'm done. Grayson is not. Grayson is going to join Teddy Lehman on The Rush coming up. So you should not go anywhere. I would recommend that you stick around. But thanks for coming along for the ride with us today on Locked In. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And in the meantime, The Rush takes you all the way to the end of the workday. Coming up next, you're on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Stay here.